Where would a salamander be without his lava base? Just wouldn't feel like home. Now, my new friend Simply Warhammer called me out to do the 5-minute orc speed paint challenge, and for those hard of thought, that is where you have 5 minutes and you have to speed paint an orc boy. As it turns out, no, I can't do that. I did try, but there was too much swearing, and with that level of cursing, there probably would have been a community guideline strike on the channel, which is not what I want. Plus, I don't think it would have made a good video anyway, because it wasn't very good. So what I did instead was lava bases, because he'd done a lava base video, so I thought I'll do a lava base video too. Now this video will only cover making the base. Painting the base, there are plenty of videos on that on the YouTubes. I will do one if enough people ask me nicely, but the basic summary of it is the rocks are painted black by starting off with a base of Mechanicus Standard Grey, then adding a couple of coats of Nuln Oil, then giving it a bit of a dry brush up with Dawnstone, it was in this case, but any lightish grey, very gentle dry brush just to pick out the raised areas, the highlights. The lava flows, my technique is literally throw yellows, oranges, reds down on it, and that's pretty much it. You know, you just keep going back and forth between the reds to darken it down and the yellows to brighten it up. You might even want a little bit of white and then glaze over it with some yellow just to really make it pop a little bit. But as you can see, my technique for that is okay. It's passable. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's good enough. Anyway, oh, one more thing. The channel has rolled over 900 subscribers in the past few days, which I am so surprised at, but I really want to push to get to 1,000. So if you're watching this video and you're not subscribed and we're still below 1,000, please hit the subscribe button. I just want to get to 1,000. Just for those who don't know, it's a magical number where YouTube will let you monetize your channels. You'll still get ads on channels below 1,000 subscribers because YouTube will still show the ads, but they keep all the revenue. On channels over 1,000, you can join the YouTube Partner Program where they will split the revenue of the ads with you. Now, when I get into that, I am not going to start showing an obnoxious amount of ads. There will be like one pre-roll ad, that's it. Maybe an ad at the end of the video as well. That's all I will enable. It's not going to be like, you know, the way you see some videos where they've got like an ad every 2 minutes or whatever the hell they do. So please subscribe, like the video, share the video, do whatever. Comment in the comment section and say nice things about me, because fragile ego and whatnot. And with that, let's get on with the video. There we go. Right. Haha. Now, today we're going to make lava bases. So, to make a lava base, first thing we need, and you won't be surprised to hear this, is a base. So I have a little clip locked up. These are just crappy little 40mm bases that I bought off eBay. Bases. We need bases. Now, to make the lava, or rather to make the lava flows, get that out of there. What a lot of people do, I've seen like cork or bark or things like that, and it's always, it looks the wrong texture to me. So what I like to use is all-purpose filler. So I believe in the US this is called spackle. Now, spackle to me sounds like what you call someone you don't like when you're 12 years old. You call them a spackle. So not particularly nice. And we're also going to use the G-Dubs texture tool. This is a really handy little bit of kit, and if you don't have one, you should get one. You could also use things like this. I dropped my paintbrush because it's in my paintbrush rack. Oh, buggered hell. Or things like this, sculpting tools. Or there's another one. So I'll leave those out, just see if they come in handy. But for now, we're just going to use the G-Dubs texture tool. Now, what we want to do is put on thin layers of this. So what I'm also going to do is just to give it that little bit of extra adhesion, is I'm just going to score the bottom of the base. Just to give it a little bit of extra, because these bases are completely smooth. So giving it something to grip onto means it won't come off. If it does come off, you can just glue it back on again because you get a lovely flat surface. But anyway, to make this a bit easier, I'm just going to put some into a little shot glass. Also means you're not leaving your big tub open to the air to dry out, you know. Now, there is an extra benefit to doing it this way, and I'll show you that maybe either at the end of this video or in another video. I haven't decided yet. But, so we'll pop that in there. one thing we can do, if I can find it, there it is to this, we're going to add a couple of drops of crappy black craft paint. This is the kind of stuff you would get for your kids to play with. You don't need a lot in this, because all we're really doing is colouring it and giving it a little bit of fluidity. So a little bit of that paint does go a long way, as you can see. So just mix that up. So get it all thoroughly mixed. And then, now you can see that's a lot more fluid. Hopefully, if I get some light in there. You can see that's quite fluid. So, we start off with a very thin layer, okay? Because what we're going to do is use this as the texture of our lava, the flowing lava, as well as the raised bits that our character's going to be standing on. Now, one thing, if you've seen the ones with a crack, they use like a crackle paste or whatever to give you that you're standing on a lava field effect. That to me just seems stupid, because, you know, if you can see burnt lava or flowing lava underneath what you're standing on, then it's not going to support the weight of a human, let alone something like a space marine or a dreadnought. So what I'm going for is the effect of like solid lava rocks with lava flowing between them, like a lava river. Something like a mini Mustafar effect from Star Wars, if you remember that. So you could use your finger or something for this, but all I want to do is get a relatively thin layer on the surface of the base. The other thing you'll probably want at some point is the mini, because you'll need to plan where you want to put your lava rocks. And to be fair, you could do this as a base by itself. I mean, doing that, you do that and you basically say that is a volcanic ash flow or something along those lines. Throw a shade on it, give it a dry brush, boom, done. I mean, this stuff, this all-purpose filler is something you really should have in your gaming toolbox. And I'm going to show you my little secret thing you can do with it afterwards, because it's really handy. So stay tuned at the end of the video. Now that will take a little bit to dry. This is the drawback to this method. Every method has a drawback. The method for this one, the drawback is it takes a little while to dry. So, but in the meantime, what we're going to do is sketch out where we want our feet. So this is the mini we're going to do. Hopefully you can see him there. Hang on, let me get a bit better light. You can see there. So what we're going to do is decide what way we want our lava flow. Actually, what we'll do is we'll use our texture tool again. So I might need to come in from the side here. This is going to block the light. I am so terribly, terribly sorry. Oops. Try not to touch the model. This is so cack-handed doing it this way, but yeah, so we know we're roughly about the center, maybe a quarter of the width in the center. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll take my texture tool again and just sketch the outline of where we want the lava flow to be. 1 foot there, 1 foot there. It's a bit shaded. Let's see if I can get a bit more light here. So now what we're going to do is just start layering up our raised areas while we wait for it. Yeah, it is a little bit easier if you let it dry first. Yeah, I'm just going to let that dry a little bit. You're probably thinking, well, isn't it going to dry out in your little tub? And you're going, yeah, it would. So what we'll do is we'll put something over the top of it so it won't dry out. And let's see what I've got. Oh, yeah, that fits perfectly. So that will keep that nice and fresh while we wait for that to dry. So we just want the first layer to dry a little bit, and then we'll start layering up on top of it. Okie dokie. It's been an hour, and as you can see, this is a little bit drier, so hopefully you can see there the textures So this gives you a really good base. Now that's really quick. You could, you know, paint that up, drop him on that now, and it's a reasonable base. You know, do other things like glue a few rocks onto it. But we're going to keep layering up. So that's dry. And you see that still nice and wet. So we're going to start layering it up. So let's find our little marks. Can't really see them. So they will get bits dropping off, but that's fine. Don't worry about that. So what we're going to do is just keep layering it on. It's a bit easier if you just pick it up and do it in your hands, but I'm trying to do it so you guys can see what I'm doing. If a bit gets over the side, we can always crack it off later. So, but the neater you are now, the less neat you have to be later, obviously. The thicker it is, the longer it takes to dry as well. It's something to bear in mind. So the nice thing is you can always go back and fill in more later. We're really just sketching out the rough plan right now. We can, because this stuff is so cheap. I mean, I think I got this from the pawn shop. I can't even remember if it was £1 or £2, but it's so ridiculously cheap that, you know, you can basically buy one pot of that to do one base and not feel bad if you have to throw it out. So when you're at this early stage, it's always worth we're going to do that the other way, checking to make sure that the feet are going to sit. So hopefully you can see that his feet are, hang on, let me just angle this to the camera a little bit better for you, so you can see that his feet are over the bits we're adding. So that's what we want. We want to make sure that when we glue him onto the base, that we are in fact putting it over the lava rocks, not the lava flow. I mean, this looks very rough and bubbly at the minute. You can sort of see the texture we're going for. And I've nearly used all the batch I mixed up, so I'm just going to layer all this on right now. And then we'll give it about 15 minutes to start to harden. And once it starts to harden, we'll go around and try to smooth it off a little bit. We don't want too many rough bits. It does turn a little bit putty-like, it's, you know, once it's slightly harder. And then remember, we're going to do something fun with the leftovers inside the pot. Hopefully you'll enjoy that. That's almost a video in itself, but I'm going to do a separate video for that one, because some people might not watch this video, but they might want to watch what you can do with it. It's always worth, as well, turning it around a little bit so you're coming at it from multiple sides. And don't forget, you've also got the other end of the you've also got the other you've also got the other end of the texture tool if you want to be a little bit more soft with it. Whereas at the minute I am literally just smearing this on. I'm trying to pack it in so that it fills in all the gaps. Like that other side needs another scoop. And one of the nice things about putting the paint in it the way I did, it softens it, makes it a little bit more liquidy. It also gives you a bit of colour, and when it's just white it's hard to see the texture, you know, especially if you're under any sort of bright lights. Same if it was just black, you couldn't see shadows and things. So, and then once you've got it, so you can see there, you can just use your finger. You might want to have a bit of kitchen roll down so you can wipe your finger off on it. He said not having a bit of kitchen roll down to wipe his finger off on, but you can see what I'm going for. Basically, the look we're trying to go for is the look of the lava flow where it's solidified. And you can see that's already soft enough to pat down with your finger. So that needs a little bit more on that side. So we'll just fill in our edge, being very rough, very messy, because we can always come in afterwards and just do that. Now we will be painting the rim, obviously. Now one thing you will want to make sure is that your lava rocks are equally heighted on either side. Whoop! Yeah, you cack-handed. You can see there we've got something going quite nicely, so we're going to use the thin end now just to get a little bit of texture on our lava. You want enough so that when you put, like, we're going to paint it dark dark grey, and then we're going to hit it with a shade. So that is going to be perfect for what we want for the next part. So we're going to leave that open, let it dry. we're going to just give this one last little look. I am going to leave that, and I'm going to leave that to dry solid. That'll take probably about another hour or so. That'll dry. So, I mean, if you're doing this in batches, which is probably the way you should do everything really for this, is you would have more batches. Now, this will look particularly good on things like a Dreadnought base. For normal troops, I probably wouldn't go to this much effort. I would just mix a batch of that up and then do it the way we saw at the start with just one layer, and then do it as like a volcanic wasteland, which is what I'll do. I'll do maybe a couple of, I'll show you what that'll look like in a couple of bases, but we're going to let this dry. So hopefully you can see there what you can end up with. Now, I'm not going to do a painting video in this, as I said, because, well, the way I do it is basically keep putting reds and yellows and oranges down on it until it looks halfway decent, and then I call it a day. But the other thing to bear in mind is, like with this technique, you don't have to stick to a dual-sided one. There's another one I did, and you can see that on this one we've got a triad. So you've got your fork. That's, I knew I was looking for something. So you've got a fork with this one. So you just want to make sure that you can fit your model on it. And as you can see, that'll sit quite nicely. And you also see this one, the lava rocks, I've made them a little bit smoother than this one. So you can add as much texture as you want. Now ignore the OSL on this, I just give it a bit of a dry brush just to pick it out. But hopefully there you can see what we've got. And that's how easy it is to do the lava bases. And literally it is oranges and yellows for heat. You know, this one, I don't know which one I like better. Which one do you guys like better? I think this one. I think this one, but that one, they're both nice. Anyway, so that's how you do lava bases. I promise to show you what you can do with this. Right? Well, these are quite flexible little cups. Hang on, let me get a clean one. So these are fairly flexible little shot glasses. So what I can do is this. I can squeeze it off the sides. Then I can take a metal sculpting tool and just clean it. You might think to yourself, well, they're cheap enough, aren't they, those things? So why are you just doing that? Well, this has been left for a few days, but if you do it straight away, oops, or are more careful than I am being, and keep breaking up the big pieces, you get a rather nice basing effect. Sometimes you'll see bits that weren't mixed, so you can just throw those out because they're still white. But this is one of the reasons you add paint to it at the start. And the more you play with it and grind it up, the more little bits you get. Until you end up with something like that, which is relatively good base material. And just over the course of practicing for this video, I've wound up with this little tub. And you can see that. So by doing different batches with different colours, I'm going to end up with slightly different coloured rocks. There we go. So you could quite easily do a base in this as well. And the more batches you do, and the more different colours of rocks you do, the more natural your covering will look. If you've made it this far, thanks very much for watching. There's another couple of videos there you can click on. You can click on the subscribe button if you want to, like the video if you want to, stick a comment down if you've anything to say, and in the meantime, happy wargaming, and I'll see you next time.